Hi, everyone. Welcome to our ISEP current student panel. We're going to get started in a few moments. If you want to drop in the chat where you are going to study abroad, we would love to see you. For everyone just now entering, we're going to get started in a few moments. So if you want to drop in the chat where you are going abroad, that would be great. Okay, we've
got Malta, Japan, Memphis, Mississippi, Ireland, Milan, Austria, Montana, San Diego, another for Malta. Cool. This is great. Tampere in Finland, Murcia in Spain, Barcelona, Wyoming, Malaysia. Awesome.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone.
Great. Jyväskylä to Dortmund in Germany. Great.
Okay, we're going to get started in just a second. For all of those entering, if you want to put in the chat where you're going abroad, that would be great. Also, if you have any questions during the duration of our panel today for our panelists, we kindly ask that you pop them in the Q&A box.
Got some going to Korea. Great. All right.
I think we can go ahead and get started. So, hi everyone, my name is Grace Glancy. I am a Student Services Officer for Programs in Continental Europe at ISEP, and I am joined by my colleague Jackie Langdon, who will be our moderator today and will introduce herself in a moment. But before we get started on our current student panel and meeting all of our amazing panelists that we have with us today, we are going to talk super briefly about completing your acceptance package, which I know many of you are in the process of doing right now. So for all of our students, ISEP Exchange and Direct students, your acceptance package is located in your ISEP dashboard in your acceptance package tab. You have 3 weeks from the time you receive your acceptance package to complete it. You can see the due date for your acceptance package in your acceptance package tab above your action items that you have to complete. For ISEP Exchange students, you have 3 main sections you need to complete: your student contract, medical form, and your acceptance payment. Your home ISEP coordinator will complete the coordinator signature. For ISEP Direct students, you have 4 main sections you need to complete: your student contract, your medical form, your program deposit, and you must enroll in your ISEP insurance. So now we're going to talk a little bit about, super quickly, each section that you have to complete. So the first section you have to complete is your student contract. So there's 3 tabs of your student contract. Your first tab is your program information. So this is going to contain extremely important information on your program start and end dates, your housing benefits, and your meal benefits, if applicable, that are included in your program. Please make sure to thoroughly read all of this information and follow all directions as included in your contract, as well as any directions you receive directly from your host institution in order to secure your housing and prepare for your arrival. The second tab is your contract of participation. This tab contains important information from your host university and ISEP. Additionally, we ask that you thoroughly review your ISEP conditions of placement. After you have thoroughly reviewed the information on the Program Information tab and your contract of participation, we ask that you sign your contract to confirm that you have reviewed and accepted the terms outlined in your acceptance package. The next step that you have to complete for all students is your medical form. Please make sure to note any medical history and any medical needs that you require accommodation for while on program. If you have any questions about your medical accommodations, please reach out to your student services officer, whose contact information is on your ISEP dashboard homepage. For ISEP exchange students, you must complete your acceptance payment in order for you to be considered accepted. You will complete your acceptance payment in the Invoices tab on your ISEP dashboard. For ISEP direct students, you must complete your program deposit in order for you to be considered accepted. You will complete your program deposit in your Invoices tab on your ISEP dashboard, as you can see on the right. For ISEP direct students, you must enroll in your ISEP insurance as part of your acceptance package before you can be considered accepted. For ISEP exchange students, you will enroll in and pay for your ISEP insurance after you complete your acceptance package. You will have up until 45 days before the start of your program to enroll in and pay for your ISEP insurance. If you have any questions at all about your acceptance package, we kindly ask that you reach out to your student services officer. As I mentioned, their contact information is on your ISEP dashboard homepage, and we will also share our contact information at the end of the presentation.
One thing I did want to note quickly about the insurance is if insurance is required for your visa, you have 45 days before the start of your program, or when you need to submit your visa paperwork, whichever is sooner to enroll in insurance.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions on how to do this, please let your student services officer know. And now what you have all been waiting for, I am going to pass it over to our moderator, Jackie Langdon. Jackie was a previous ISEP alumna from the University of Kansas who studied abroad at the Universidad de Costa Rica.
Thank you, Grace. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to meet you. I'm really looking forward to moderating today's panel. Like Grace said, I studied abroad at University of Costa Rica. I lived there studying journalism for 7 months during my junior year of college. I love study abroad so much that I decided to pursue a career in it when I returned to the States. And now I have a wonderful opportunity to, be able to talk with all of you today as part of that journey with my job. So we're going to go ahead and look into information on our panelists today. We are joined by a great team of students. I may ask those who are here with us at the moment to unmute and introduce themselves. We do have a couple of students, Haley and Desaya, who are having some internet connectivity issues right now, but may be joining us later on throughout the panel. So Dylan, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, just introduce yourself really quick, where you're from, where you're studying, your major, and maybe just a brief sentence on how you chose your program.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Yes, my name's Dylan, obviously. I'm from Northern Ireland originally, but I'm studying in the Netherlands, Leiden now at Leiden University, and I'm doing 2 separate courses at the minute. I'm doing a bit from Japan studies, and I'm doing more of art history as well. And that's it, pretty much.
Awesome. Tarushini, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and give a brief introduction?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So my name is Tarushini Francis, and I'm from Malaysia, University Pendidikan Sultan Idris, and I'm currently studying at Germany, Leibniz University Hanover. And I'm studying English as second language, bachelor's degree. And so, yeah, that's about me. Thank you.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least.
Hi, my name is Nia. I'm from Finland. My home university is the University of Jyväskylä, and I'm here in the US at Randolph-Macon College. And my major at my home university is Finnish, but I'm here based on my minor, which is English, and doing English literature classes right now.
Okay, thank you. And like I said, we may have 2 more panelists joining us, Haley, who is currently studying abroad in London, and Desaya, who is currently studying abroad in Mexico. So I'm going to go ahead and ask our panelists some questions that we have, but please feel free to type into the chat any questions that you have during this time. And Rachel will go ahead and read those out if we have any that come in. So we'll go ahead and get started. So to our panelists, what is the number one thing you recommend students do within their first week of arrival to settle into their host sites? I'm sure we all have lots of ideas. Maybe we'll start off with Tarushini. Any advice you have for getting in settled into your host site, like within the first week of arrival?
Okay, this is my honest review, like honest opinion. So for me personally, when I first arrive, like before you arrive, make sure you have cash. So like most of us, we will use, cards and stuff. But here in Germany is different because like all the shops and here they use cash. So that is really, really important thing. And apart from that, settling down, I think like most of us experience, like when you go to the first place, you're kind of nervous. And especially when I was in Germany, I don't understand about the languages. So before you like settle down, try to, Google about the basic languages, like how do you say hello and stuff like that. So it will be easier for you to do your daily lives and stuff.
I think that's great advice, especially with, making sure you have a little bit of the local currency on hand if possible. Even if your plan is, oh, I've already contacted my banks, like they know that I'm going to be using my card in X, Y, and Z country. You never know if something isn't going to go according to plan. So it's just nice to have that in your pocket, literally, if something doesn't go according to plan. Okay, who wants to hop in next? How about we go with Dylan, a piece of advice for getting settled into your host site?
I think that was already a good point made about having cash on hand. Where Germany is very like currency cash based, it's the complete opposite here. So like having like a Dutch bank account, or at least a bank account that you could cover with a credit card that's contactless, couldn't understate. Obviously it's Netherlands, so it could be quite like isolated, but it is like it's entirely card based. Even like paying for a bus with a card, you almost get shoved off the bus for not with a card, sorry, for trying to pay with cash. You almost get shoved off the bus. But I think for settling in, I was lucky. There was a lot of other students that were like ISEP participants, or like the building that I stay at, it's all like foreign exchange students. So obviously for some people it's different, where like socializing and getting to know people is quite difficult. But I think for me, one of the best things was like when you speak English, that's enough to make someone like you pretty much instantly, especially if you've got like an Irish accent. That's definitely enough for people to immediately cling to you. So I found it really, really easy to settle in within the first week. Just being chatty, getting to know people, saying hi on your way past. I think that's probably the best thing you can do.
That's great advice. Yeah, I think, it can be a little bit intimidating when you arrive in your host country to, wonder like, how is my personality going to be perceived abroad? Like I may not know the language that well, or I do, but I'm a little bit self-conscious. I found whenever I've traveled internationally that people are always just very, have a lot of like gratitude for putting yourself out there and making the effort. So things don't have to be perfect with your language or how you present yourself when you first arrive, but just putting yourself out there and putting in that effort goes a long way cross-culturally. So let's go ahead and see what piece of advice Naya has to offer for getting settled into your host site during that first week.
Well, I don't really have much to add to that. I'd say the international students are a very good community. So if you can find other international students, especially ISEP students, they will probably have the same experience as you, because everyone's going to be confused during their first week. So they're great to hang out with. And if you don't, if you don't want to ask for advice, there will be someone to help you. And there's also, at least in Randolph-Macon, we had a lot of activities and things, events during the first week. So I'd recommend attending everything that you can, because that's a great way to meet people, also like local people. And yeah.
Yeah, getting involved and going out and, you know, exploring your campus, exploring your host city are really good ways to just feel like more connected to your new life in your host country. So that's really good advice as well. Thank you to each of you for sharing that. We can go ahead and move on to our next question.
We
So we're going to get
have one actually from
Oh,
students.
go ahead.
So this is one that we expected to hear. Nadia is asking, what does everyone recommend, or what are some things you'd recommend that students pack before their first semester of study abroad? What do you recommend you pack and bring with you, she said.
Do we want to go in the same order as last time to our panelists?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question? Is it packing?
Yeah, what are some things that you think are really good to make sure you pack, and even think of the essentials, but think creatively too, like maybe something that isn't as obvious, but you never know what's obvious to everybody is different.
Okay, for me, what I did was like I bought some souvenirs from my home country and bring it to the host university, because when I meet some new friends, so I give them my home country souvenirs as a gift to them, which is a really good thing for you to like make friends and explain about the thing. Like when you give someone from your home country, it actually makes a lot of memories to them. So yeah, that's one of the important thing I have packed from. I think it's important for me. And how about others?
Awesome. Dylan, do you have any packing advice?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first week that I came to the Netherlands, it was a heat wave. So like I got to the country and it's 30 degrees, so well Celsius. So like for Americans, obviously that doesn't make any sense, but Celsius is really, yeah, not good. So one of the things that I didn't bring, sounds stupid, I didn't bring anything thicker than a shirt. So I didn't have a coat or a jumper or a jacket. So about 4 days into the heat wave, it stopped and it went from 30 degrees down to 17 degrees and thunder and lightning. So I was cycling to university in thunder and lightning. The rain was coming sideways and I didn't have a coat or a jacket. I think um, being so like literally when I say like have a piece of clothing for every situation, like a shirt, a tank top for when it's too warm, a jacket for when it's too cold, something that's waterproof. Literally every single like piece of clothing for every scenario you can think of. Obviously, packing you're kind of tight for what you can bring, but I think clothing is possibly one of the most essential things, which is what I skipped out on.
Yeah, that's great advice. And keep in mind when you're thinking of layers to pack, like try to think of like what is going to be versatile with other outfits. And even if, in your host country, you're like, well, it's going to be like pretty consistent weather, temperature the whole time. You never know, like if you're going to be going on excursions or traveling to other places in the country, if say like the bus is going to be like super freezing or really warm, things like that. So it is good to bring layers for a wide range of different, clothing conditions that you may need. So let's go ahead and see what Naya has to say for packing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with the clothing thing. I didn't bring a winter jacket, which is something I'm regretting. That is something that everyone should have, and you should definitely Google the weather before. And until now, it's been very warm here, so I haven't needed one, but I'll probably have to buy one here. And something else I want to say is like take as many t-shirts as you possibly can. Because that's something that you do need. I haven't had the chance to go shopping that much, so as many clothes as you can take it would be good. And something else is reminders from home or like mementos or something would be nice, but don't take anything too expensive that can be broken or get lost, because you will definitely regret it. Like I've talked to some of my friends who have lost their jewelry and stuff, so yeah, don't take anything that can be damaged on the journey.
Yeah, and I'd say one good thing too for kind of imagining like, oh, what clothes should I wear around on campus? What students wear on campus can really vary ranging from culture to culture. I know it's a lot more common in the US to wear athletic clothing to class than it was for me going to Costa Rica. So, you know, even consider looking at your host institution's social media, pictures of students, just to get an idea of like what maybe like a little bit of the cultural norms are. So you also don't wind up with a suitcase full of things where maybe it doesn't fit in as well. And I see in the chat that people are wondering if one suitcase or two suitcases is recommended. So I don't know if any of our panelists want to jump in with how much they packed for their experience.
I would like to step in pretty much straight away. I saw in the Q&A, someone had said, do you recommend traveling with big suitcases? Absolutely not. I think one suitcase, if you can manage it, and go medium size at best. I did, like for me, it was a 10-kilogram suitcase. And so like obviously like people can get like taxis and stuff, but I think like one of the biggest things, obviously this is probably something that'll come up later, but like budgeting is probably something that pretty much every single student is going to be thinking about. So trying to get from like Amsterdam Schiphol Airport with a 10-kilogram suitcase, bike parts, a backpack. I got off the plane with like one of my long sleeve shirts on, and it was like 30 degrees. So doing all of that, massive suitcase, it's not worth it, man. Literally, I think most of the time, I think people could kind of, you can grab stuff when you're here. Obviously, again, budgeting issue, but like if you really need it, you can grab it while you're here. Only bring like the bare essentials, I think. And like essentials obviously changes per person, but small is better.
Awesome. Do either of our other panelists have anything to add?
Okay, can I add? So I bring two luggages because for me it's like really far away. Like imagine you are going for one semester. So I like pack using two luggages. And the most important thing is I saw that someone asked like, how did you pack all your things for a whole semester? It's all about, you know, organizing, like for example, like mentioned by Dylan. So some things that you can actually buy at your host country. So when you are packing, it's best to like Google searching, for example, like what kind of things that you need to bring, like you need to pack in your luggages, and what kind of things you don't need. For example, it is fine if you like bring one jacket for a standby, for example, and later once you arrive at your host like your host institution or at your like host country, you can ask your friends or the people there like what kind of you know the clothing is better based on the weather there and stuff like that. So yeah.
Awesome. Naya, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I traveled with one checked and one one big and one small suitcase, and that was enough for me. But something I do regret bringing is a lot of makeup products and like shampoos and things like that. You can pretty much buy everything here that you need. It may depend on country to country, but you should definitely Google what you can buy here, because I should have packed more clothes and less things that I can buy here.
That's a good piece of advice. My piece of advice I always like to offer students is pack your carry-on as if maybe your suitcase may not arrive for a day or two. We don't anticipate that that's going to happen, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. Have a change of clothes, have comfortable shoes, any cosmetics, medications that you're going to need during those first few days. Make sure you have them with you on the plane just for peace of mind. Well, thank you everybody for all of the tips in regards to packing. We're going to shift into the academics of study abroad a little bit now. So what are your classes like? How do they compare to courses at your home university? And if applicable, do you have any favorite field trips or excursions that have been part of your classes? So we can go in the same order if you guys are okay with that. I know, Tavrishini, we're putting you on the spot right away.
Okay. So for me, it's totally different, especially in the academy wise, because the education system in my country and in Germany is totally different. Here, they are more into independent studies, where in my country is more into like lecturer gives a talk or presentations, and we will have homeworks later, kind of that. So on the first week, it was really hard to, get into the courses and to understand about it. But after a while, I was really capable to do that. So don't worry about that. When you first arrive, like when you are studying or stuff, it's a little bit harder. But as soon as you are started to understand about what they are teaching and stuff, it will be easier. And apart from that, my major in my home country is English courses, and same, I'm taking the same courses here in Germany, which is not that different. And about the field trip and excursions, here in Germany, they doesn't have field trip kind of stuffs, but what they do is they have some events where they meet with local people and do some stuff that is related to your studies, which is really good for me because I'm learning something new from here, which is totally different from my country. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Dylan.
Yeah, so back at my like home university, I do video game design as a bachelor's. So obviously here I do art history, and it's Japan studies, but it's a sociological perspective on Japan. So it's sociology basically. They're so incredibly different. Video game design is all assignment based. It's really art based as well. So it's a lot of creativity and imagination, which I think if you've got that, then it's a bit of a walk in the park. Whereas sociology and art history, it's all facts, it's all taking notes, etc. It was a massive change, but I think it helps a lot that it's two subjects that I'm also so incredibly interested in. So obviously, I think for most people, if you've chosen something that you are interested in, I think that there's not really any reason to stress. I think if it's something that you find interesting, you'll completely flow into it. Sociology is possibly one of the hardest subjects I've studied. There's a lot of exams, but like it doesn't bother me because it's all, again, the teacher as well. I think that's one thing that helps. Leiden University is it's an amazing university in general, so it makes it incredibly easy to kind of like flow straight into the thing. I think someone was asking books and materials. Do you mean like as in books and materials for university? Because if that's the case, it should say like on my course before I arrived, I already had 3 books for it because it says on like the prospectus on the website, like here is like a suggested reading list. It changes when you get into the course itself. So like the sociology course, it has weekly readings, but like we're given those per week, whereas there's some things that like introduce you to the topic that should be on like the course prospectus if you're looking for it.
Yeah, I think kind of with the exception of like major things like laptops that you may need for class, like think that people in your host country are going to have to shop for things like notebooks, pens, pencils, highlighters, anything that you need that they would use in class. So a lot of those things you should be able to buy on site, but any like major items that you like to use in class, like a laptop or iPad, anything like that would probably be good to bring with you and not plan on buying there. But it'll vary depending from country to country, the materials you need. And yeah, so some things you can definitely wait until you're on site. Naya, do you have anything to add for classes?
Yeah, I would like to say something about the books first. At least in the US, I did have to buy all of my books, and that amounted to around $300 or $400. So just be prepared for that. And maybe if you get the list of books that you should have for the classes before, you should email the teachers and ask them if they have any books that they can provide you. At least I got one book for one of my classes from my professor for free as a loan, and another one I bought from someone who had taken the class before. It was a $95 book, and I got it for $5. So yeah, definitely contact your professors before, because there might be something on the list that you don't actually need, or something that you can get online, or something that they can provide for you. And
I would add for the US, some typical advice that we give is see if you could buy the book used if you have to buy a book in the United States, and also know that you're able to typically resell your book at the end of the semester. So any books you have to purchase, if you're studying in the United States, you're usually able to resell it at the end of the semester.
Yeah, that's true. And something I did was have the books, like I bought them as a loan sort of, and that was I think the new one was $60, and if I have it as a loan and return it, it's only $30. So I did that for 3 books, and that was definitely something you should do. And continuing with the classes for me have been quite different than at my home university, because I'm used to having more independent studying. And I'd say in the US, the amount of homework, depending on what classes you're taking, I'm taking literature classes, 4 of them, and the amount of homework is a lot compared to my home university. I wrote my bachelor's thesis last spring, and I have around the same amount of work right now. It's not as stressful, but it is a lot. So you should definitely think of when you're choosing your classes, take something to balance that out if you know that it's going to be a lot of work. And also, I'd say the professors are very accommodating. So just email them and ask them for anything. They will definitely answer you and try to accommodate you in anything.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. I'd say something that we commonly get for students going to or from the US is the difference with how much homework there is, or like what your grade is based off of. So students who are originally from the US and are maybe used to having a lot of homework, keep in mind when you're going overseas, your grade may be based on 3 or 4 assignments, like a midterm, a final. It's a lot less of kind of busy work than we have in the US. So part of that is you really have to hold yourself accountable and manage your time, and make sure that if you're not getting something that you're not realizing because you're not doing as much homework, have a conversation with your instructor about that. Make sure that you're going to class. It's a lot different of a structure. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah. All right, we've got a lot of questions in the chat, so I want to start going through some of the questions in the chat, kind of rapid fire, because we've got a lot of questions here. So this is great. The first one is from Taco, and I think, Jackie, you might be the only one able to answer this.
Okay.
Has anybody had a host family as part of study abroad? And can you give any advice for connecting with your host family?
I know I have had one. Has any of our students lived in a host family? I don't think so. Okay. I will jump into this. So I lived in Costa Rica. I will say that my host, it's been 9 years, and I still talk so much about my host family. Hands down, the best part of my experience. I loved it so much. I had a really unique situation where I actually had 2 host moms. So I had a same-sex couple in Costa Rica. Absolutely incredible people who I keep up with to this day. In terms of adapting, I'd say it's really, or kind of like facilitating a good relationship with them. I think it's nice to bring a gift showing gratitude when you arrive. So like for me, I'm originally from Colorado, but I went to school in Kansas. I brought some chocolates that are famous in Colorado. And then that was also a really nice icebreaker too, explaining oh, these are something that people really enjoy in Colorado, and giving a little bit of history to it too. And then I got them some like University of Kansas, like little like keychains and stuff too, which is something that, you know, isn't incredibly expensive, but goes like a long way. And then that even led to some conversations like, this is what a Jayhawk is, things like that. I'll add that I remember when I was going into my experience, and it was going to be 7 months overseas, I was really not wanting to like step on any toes like right away. Like I was like, oh, I can't ask for help right away because, you know, I'm going to be here for 7 months. And that was like totally the wrong mentality to have. So like I kind of mentioned before, so my suitcase did not arrive until a couple days into the experience. And at the time, it seemed like the worst thing that could have happened, but it ended up being, you know, a wonderful thing in disguise. It forced me to ask my host moms for help earlier than I was planning on. And they were so kind when I didn't have like things I needed. They were like, oh my gosh, we want you to be comfortable. We're going to take you to the store, get whatever you need. Like, do you need to borrow any clothing? Do you need this or that? And then immediately I was like, they are so dedicated towards trying to support me and helping me throughout this experience that like, I don't know what I was thinking in terms of like, oh, I don't want to be like a bother, because it wasn't that way at all. So I would definitely recommend bringing a little something to show gratitude, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Like, your host family is going to want to help you, and it's probably not their first time, you know, having host students before. So they're used to this. I will also say one little thing that I tried to bring little activities I could do with my host family too. I actually brought a deck of Uno cards. And they had never played Uno before, but so I like explained how to do it, and we would all like play that together. And as somebody who Spanish isn't my first language, but I felt comfortable that I could explain the rules of Uno with numbers and colors pretty easily. And it was fun for them to learn too. So those are my bits of advice. Don't be afraid to be yourself and bring things from home. To give a little bit of context as to who you are. Your family will be super appreciative.
Cool. All right, next question. I think we'll open this to all three of our students on the panel right now. What's one thing that you're glad you've done so far? And what's one thing that you didn't do that you wish you did, that you would recommend that other people do? Do you want to start with Nana?
Sure, yeah. One thing I'm glad I've done is like taking part in trips with some of the other international students. We had a really good time in Washington, D.C. And that was really like a bonding experience for all of us. That is something that you should definitely look into if you're interested in traveling the country you're going to. And I'm sure there's like the other international students definitely want to travel and do things together. So that is definitely something that I'm glad I've done. And also I've taken part in different activities and clubs, and there is a great variety of them. So you'll definitely find something you're interested in. And I don't think I have anything that I wish I would have still done. I've pretty much attended everything I can because I knew that that it's a good experience and it's a good way to meet people. So yeah.
Great. Tharshini, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so one thing that I'm glad that I made at my host university is same as Nia told, like participating in the local events and events that are organized by the international office in your host institution, because it is really a very good way for you to interact with all the other international students, where you can make friends, and like you guys can plan like where you want to go, travel around Europe and stuff like that, which is really good. And one thing that I regret will be not bringing a lot of souvenirs from my home country, because once you like make friends with everyone, you need to present something to them as a gift or a gratitude kind of thing. So that is one thing I regret.
Dylan?
Yeah, I think easily the best thing is the meeting new people part. I'm really social as it is. Like with Ulster University, it was different because COVID was still a massive issue. So like freshers, we didn't do like freshers or anything like that. All the pubs, clubs, all of that were still closed at the time. So this was technically like my first introduction to like orientation week and stuff like that. There's like a massive with Leiden University, they do like a massive week with like going on boat tours, going to museums, stuff like that. So I think again, it's like it's a country, it's a country within Europe. One of the biggest things is traveling as well. So like it's scary. Northern Ireland, you can kind of cross it in like 2 hours. You can cross like the entire country in a car if you're going fast enough, not breaking the law or anything. Um, but like here, you get on a train and 8 hours later, you only just arrive in Berlin, which is insanely cool. It's awesome how close everything is when you're in the Europe and Netherlands specifically. But one thing I would regret is that I was overly eager to come to the Netherlands, so I actually 4 days before like I moved into my apartment before they opened and gave me my keys, I came here with a best friend from Northern Ireland. So we did boat tours, we did every museum because we're both big history nerds, and it meant that by the end of those 4 days and orientation week came up for university, all of the events that the university had set up were all let's go on boat trips, let's go to the museums. So I'd already done all of that at least twice. So it completely ruined that experience the first time around. I would say it's really good to be eager, but you'll trip up if you go too fast, is what I would say. Take everything a lot slower than I did, but it was amazing nonetheless.
Awesome. Okay, our next question, I think we'll have all three of you answer as well. How would you recommend going about making friends? And what did you do to kind of to make friends on your experience so far? Do you want to start with Tarushini?
Okay, making friends. So basically what I like to say is most of the students who are going abroad, I think you will like Google search about the people here, like how is the people here and stuff like that. So what I search in Google is in Germany, people are introvert, they will talk and kind of stuff like this. But when I arrive here, it is totally different. Like my first friend that I make here is a German, like a German guy. So which is totally what I read in Google and what I experience here is totally different. So what I like to say is be open-minded, because open-minded, you will have a lot of discussions with people and you will connect with people. So making friends is all about being open-minded and being confident. You just go with the flow, talk with people, know about others and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's how I make friends in Germany.
Right. Does anybody else want to jump in?
I would say I'm like I think the easiest way to make friends is pretty much would be like a stereotype is like there's I have lost count. There's been a lot of pub crawls, bars, nightclubs, all that kind of stuff. I'm somebody who exclusively does not drink anything. I don't drink alcohol at all. So you'd imagine that turning up to all of these clubs, nightclubs, bars, sober isn't the best experience. Um, it definitely, it's possibly the fastest way to make friends. It's awkward when you're the only one sober, I'll admit that. But I think if you're looking for the fastest way to make friends quickly, my accommodation was one that's because I think somebody did say, do you live with other ISEP students? Yeah, I've got like at least 7 other people that are ISEP students in my building alone. So that's one thing is really, really handy. Just meeting other ISEP students straight away. I think Nia had said earlier on that it's like it's a really nice community. It's quite close knit. So that was really good. But I think the best thing is probably going out, even if it's like, again, I'm not a big fan of going out ever, but I made the effort the first few days and I definitely don't regret it. It was absolutely worth it.
Awesome. I know, so one related question. I know a lot of our ISEP students do join different university clubs as a way to make friends. Have any of you joined a club so far? Or a student group on campus?
I joined International Interest Group, which is, I mean, that's a very nice community. We don't meet every week, but if you want to meet other international students and you have a similar kind of thing at your host uni, you should definitely do that. And then different kinds of activities are also good. I've done Zumba and weight training. Those are really great ways to meet people. And when it comes to making friends, especially the international students, everyone's looking for friends. So don't stress about it too much. You will definitely meet people that are on the same wavelength.
That's great. Yeah, I love that advice. We definitely hear that all the time from people, that you're not going to be the only one who's new and is looking to make friends. They're going to find a lot of other people who are also new and looking to make friends. So that can really kind of help facilitate things. Okay, the last related question to making friends. Did you find any cultural barriers while trying to make friends? Does anyone want to take that one? Did anybody find any cultural barriers, or was it easy enough, even if you're making friends with people from different cultures?
I know sorry, go ahead, Dylan. I
was
didn't
just
know
gonna
if anyone
say,
had any answers.
my answer is really short. I didn't, not really. I think the closest thing I found to a culture barrier is like I'm living on a diet of pure waffles, but aside from that, like there's been no hassle. I think everyone, obviously it's different. Like we're technically not a part, but all a part of Europe. But like it's really easy to go from Northern Ireland. Again, the Irish accent that comes in a lot. Northern Irish, no one knows the difference. Anyway, but I think yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I don't think there is any cultural barriers, not from my perspective anyway. Every Dutch person I've met so far, especially at university, everyone's really, really fluent in English. So I think if you've got a little bit of English even behind you, it's so easy to immediately meet, especially for Dutch people in university. It's like almost a point of fascination where it's absolutely awesome to meet someone that's not Dutch. They just love meeting someone that's foreign. You telling them about your home country is like enough to take up an hour and 45-minute lecture. So obviously don't do it in lecture time. I'm not endorsing that, but yeah.
I was going to say, so from when I was in Costa Rica and then I also lived in Spain for a summer, one thing that just was a matter of like kind of getting used to is outside of the US, I feel like it's a lot less common to like hang out at people's like houses or apartments. It's much more common to like, if you're going to like go out and be social, you're like going out and like doing things. So I know that like when I lived in Barcelona, there were like citywide noise regulations that you couldn't make a lot of like noise in your apartment after 10 p.m. or they could, you know, like call authorities on you. And so like house parties or things like that like aren't like as common. So that just took a little bit of a shift. Or in like Costa Rica, most everybody, if you're not married, like still lives with their parents. So also wasn't as common there. Kind of like Dylan was saying, like people really want to hear like what your perspective is on like your home country. I'd say something whenever I've gone abroad that just like takes a little bit of getting used to is being kind of interviewed on US culture. And sometimes I really have to like explain this is my understanding, this is like my opinion, but like this isn't representative of the like country necessarily as a whole. And so that's always really interesting, kind of to have an idea of what questions you may get from locals or students from other countries. I always think it's good to Google your host country Google your home country in like the online newspaper of your host country. So like if I was looking up like United States in Costa Rican news, that may like give me a better idea of like what perceptions people may have about me before I go abroad.
Awesome. Okay, next question. We've got one for Nia. Did you open a bank account in the United States, and did you buy a prepaid SIM card before coming to the US?
I did not open a bank account. I think you should probably Google if your credit card or debit card will work if you're going to US. At least mine did. I have a Visa card, so both my debit and credit work well here. And you should always have some cash with you also. But I know some people opened a bank account and it did work well. Like the university accommodated them, and they drove them to the bank and everything. So yeah, it's very good. And then I did buy a SIM card. It took me a while, but I bought a prepaid from T-Mobile. It's $40 a month, and it's worked really well until now. And you can renew it online as well, so you don't have to go to the store every time you want to renew it. And yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, one question that we wanted to get to is about taking classes in a language other than your native language. Is anybody taking classes in a language that's not their native language, and how have you found that?
So for me, I'm taking German language courses, which is really needed. It was hard for the first time, like when you are completely learning something new, which is totally different from your like home country's languages. But the best part is it actually helps you a lot, because from learning the other languages, I mean the host country's languages actually help you to get with your daily life. Because in Germany, commonly, like when you are in universities, most of the students, they know English, and the people know the English, like they speak English. But when you go outside or travel around Germany, like not everyone speaks English. So the language classes actually helps me a lot with this. So yeah.
Great. Anybody else? Is anybody else taking a class that's not in their native language? Okay. Another one for Nia. What about your schedule? Are you taking 4 courses? Does it feel very busy, especially compared to life in Finland?
Yeah, I'm taking 4 courses, and it does seem very busy, but they're literature classes, so yeah, it depends on what you study, I think. I was planning on taking 5, which would equal to 30 European credits, and that's what usually I take in a semester in Finland. But I noticed that most people were taking 4 classes, and I dropped 1, and I would definitely recommend only taking 4 classes if you can. But I think you do need to take 4 classes and no less than that because of the visa status. At least my visa status has to, I mean, it says that I have to have 12 credits.
Yeah, if you're in the United States, you have to maintain full-time course enrollment, which at most universities in the United States is going to be 4 courses. But you can check with your host site what full-time course enrollment is at that host site. Okay, another question on classes. How did everybody choose which professor to take classes with, if you did choose in that way? The student said at their home university, people really try to select their courses based on the professors. Did you do that? And if so, how do you find information based on the professor? Did anybody do that? Did anybody try to take classes based on the professors? Everyone just picked the classes they needed. Yeah. If you're in the United States, if you're coming to the US, there are usually a lot of like different websites. Some of them are reputable, some of them are not reputable, that give information on professors. But I don't think that really exists in other countries. I don't know if that exists in other countries. But with each of those reviews of professors, sometimes it can be based on a really personal experience of just that one individual student. So I'd be careful of those reviews too. Usually people, I think, just select their courses based on the courses they need. Okay. Another question is, we have somebody who's going to go, Tharushini, to your home university of UPSI, and they wanted some information on what it's like to be a student at UPSI.
Okay, so I'm actually a third year student there, and it's an education university, and it's also a #1 education university in Malaysia, which is a great exposure for you. And what I like to say is it's a very great community where people there are very friendly and you don't need to worry about anything there. And we have variety of courses for you to choose. Apart from education, there's other courses, for example, like music or something that is related to the science and mathematics. So yeah, definitely you should come to my universities and you will have a great experiences there.
There's a question for everybody. On your free days, do you travel with friends? Have you done any excursions or traveling to a nearby city? Dylan, do you want to start?
I was gonna say he goes first. Yeah, I think that was one of the things I said earlier on. Like when you're in Europe, it's as easy as hopping on the train. So I think with my home university, I was definitely a lot busier. It's assignment based, but you're like it's almost like 9 to 5 every day or longer, like 12-hour shifts when you're doing games design. With this, it's very, very different. I'm in classes like 3 days a week. So then I've got like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So I'll do the readings, I'll do whatever homework I have. But you've still got a lot of free time. So if you do have free time, which a lot of the students here do, that is when you go on different trips, excursions, go to like the city that's closest to us to the west is The Hague. Go there, go shopping. It's like much more westernized. It's very similar to the UK. So like that's a nice taste of home, all that jazz. Five Guys, those kind of restaurants. So it's just so incredibly easy. I think that was one of the main things I wanted out of this trip was because I wanted to like explore and do more traveling. So the fact that I'm now in the center of Europe, basically, I can just hop on a train and go anywhere, France, Germany, Belgium, whatever I want, I can do it essentially, which is really handy. Again, budgeting's an issue, but when it's like the NS train system here, at least, it's super affordable. So I think that's one of the things, if you are looking, then that's definitely one of the, if you're looking to travel, that's one of the things that you should be excited about, is the chance to. And I just thought, there's somebody said at the bottom there, is there anything specific that you personally recommend to bring to Northern Ireland, or anything in particular you should know before going there to study, going to Ulster? Yo, let's go. Sorry. Honestly, I think Northern Ireland, with Ulster, it might be hard to follow up. Are you able to say like what course you're doing? Is it like art based, or are you Jordanstown campus? Because I don't think there's a lot you should really, anything technology based, iPad or laptop. I think someone had brought that up earlier. You really can't make do with a notebook or a pen and paper. It's not going to work. Do definitely get an iPad. I've managed to do notebook for sociology and art history. It's not the same with most of the courses at Belfast campus anyway. It's all really technology based. You're always on their websites. So like definitely that's one thing I would say. But if you can follow up with like what you're doing, then I can answer later on as well.
Great. All right, we're almost at time, so I think I'm going to turn it back over to Grace to wrap things up.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel, and thank you to our amazing panelists. So for everyone's knowledge, these are your student services officers. As I mentioned previously, our contact information is on the homepage of your ISEP dashboard. So if you have any questions at all as you are preparing for your program, as you're completing your acceptance package, please reach out to your student services officer. And as a reminder, after you are confirmed by your host university, you will also have your host ISEP coordinator at your host university, their contact information as well on your homepage. So please let us know if you have any questions. And we encourage you to connect with us. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at ISEP Study Abroad, and tag us in your content for an opportunity to be shared on our platforms. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to our amazing panelists, to Jackie and to Rachel.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you again to our panelists. We really appreciate you all being here. Have a great day, everybody.
Cheers.